Hey there, in this video I am going to teach you how to power carve with a Dremel or any type of rotary tool. I'm going to introduce you into more of a three-dimensional style carving on flat wood. We are going to carve a Spartan helmet, and this should be a lot of fun and teach you a lot of techniques. Let's get started. Here are the accessories I'm using for this carving. Carbon paper, a piece of basswood I cut up, fog-proof safety glasses, a good dust mask, and a template that we can transfer with the carbon paper. A pair of scissors to cut out the template, and a pen to trace the template. I'm using this red and black ink pen, which is really awesome. You remember these things as kids? I really suggest that you use the red ink part so you can see the lines that you traced on the template. I also forgot to mention we need some tape to tape the stencil to the piece of wood. Let's start by lining up the carbon paper with the template and cutting it out. Take a piece of tape and tape the stencil to the paper. Make sure the stencil is flat on the carbon paper. We do not want any slack in this whatsoever. All right, we have the template taped on here. If you guys would like to use this specific template, it's available in my Spartan template bundle with a lot of other ones just like it. You can find information on that below. Okay, now let's begin tracing with a moderate amount of pressure. I'm not too worried about getting the detail of the hair here because I am going to be doing something different. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, I think I can work with that. The next step is to take a pencil and straighten everything up and add thick lines. This is an important part. Okay, there we go. This is a little off center as you can see, but that's all right. We are not aiming to be perfect. We're gonna do this and have fun. I'm also using this tabletop dust collector from PSI Woodworking. This works great for me since I'm in a studio. For most of the carving, I'll be using the Fordham SR Series flex shaft. These have interchangeable handpieces, which saves me so much time when I need to switch burrs or bits. On occasion, I will be using the Dremel stylo as well. To start off, we will be using the DuraGrit inverted cone burr. This is fantastic for making straight lines. To start out, we want to just follow the edges of the pencil marking. That's simple. As we start carving the curve here, apply a moderate amount of pressure and keep the handpiece in your hand pretty tight, but let your wrist be agile, that way we can make all the sharp turns. As I am carving the corners, I am turning the board. This allows me to make small micro movements that are clean and precise. So do that in the corners. I'm just going to trace the whole outer edge of the design. When you get to fine detail areas like the bottom of this helmet, just take your time and remember short, small strokes, and then turn your board to get all the sharp lines. Okay, we did the outer edges, and now here is where things get tricky. You see where I carved right here? Well, I'm gonna have to take that down, but this background right here I'm penciling in has to be lower in depth than right here, because back here is the back of the helmet. So this area all in here that I'm going to carve out needs to be lower than the cheeks, but also no lower than this part right here or this part on the side. So we're gonna go along the sides here and knock this bevel down and probably go just a little bit deeper. For this part, I am going to take my inverted comb burr and carve not just a straight line, but at an angle right here, because I need the head part to angle down. Let me demonstrate that for you. So for the top part of this helmet, we want to fade it in at an angle. So turn this inverted comb burr at an angle and just kind of lightly fade in there. We're not making really a straight line, we are cutting it at an angle. So catch what I'm teaching here, guys. This will help you so much because this is going to be curved. I'm going to do this to both sides. Continue to the inner part of the design, getting the inside of the helmet. Be sure to get your lines precise and on point. We don't want anything rounded off. We need just a sharp edge. I'm beveling inside the helmet around the eye and cheek area, and the reason I am doing that is when we get ready to remove the stock inside of the helmet, I don't want my second burr I'm fixing to use to hit the sides of my nose or the sides of the eye or any of the outer edges of the design inside, which will completely destroy my carving. Now we are switching to a flame burr. This is excellent for removing inner and outer stock. I start by carving the outer edge of the design at an angle. Now you can see that this burr is removing some serious stock. The larger 1/4 bits like this are fantastic for removing a lot of wood rapidly. So this is what we're doing. We're going to angle this piece down because we're not going to stipple the outside edges. We're just going to get a clean cut around the whole edge of the design. In this process, make sure you carve at an angle. Look at all this wood dust flying. I love this burr. This is turning out really good. I just need to cut this deep enough that way I can round the cheeks in just a tad bit to give it some three-dimensional depth. I want to teach you guys a trick here. You see the flame burr I'm using? I'm getting really clean cuts on the side right here in this valley. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on the side and just go along just like this and drag it along here. And I'm getting just a super clean cut by doing that. Let me demonstrate it. Notice how I have my pinky on the table. This helps support the handpiece. That way it will not be jumping around on me. See that? Look how clean that is. We're moving to the bottom parts of the design here, and keep in mind that the bottom part of this helmet where the points are needs to be lower than inside of the back of the helmet. More on that in just a second, but you just want to go through here and take your time, guys. Don't mess this up. Take your time and remove all the stock in the eyes and inside the cheek area. I'm going to do multiple passes here. That way my burr won't slip and I hit the cheek or something and mess up the design. Do you see how the bevels that we previously carved helps this burr and complements it? That's the whole idea. We take this in stages. Notice how I'm carving the top of the helmet right here and curving it over. This is going to give a 3D effect. If I take too much off here, I'm going to have to go in the background again and take some more out. But I'm going to try to not do that. So I'm just going to take just a little bit more off and around the edge. So you're making a flat edge round. And we have 3 different layers of depth, 1, 2, 3. And this is what's giving us our 3-dimensional depth. So I'm gonna do this to both sides of the top of the helmet. And then I got to carve this part on this side in where it angles, which I'm probably gonna have to take out some more stock from the background. I'm continuing to round off the top of the helmet. Now I'm also going to have to remove more background here because I done carved parts of the main design so low. I probably could have carved this a little deeper the first time and avoided this part of the process, but you have to take it in stages. This is the first time that I have done this carving, so you know what, mistakes are allowed. When you don't allow yourself to make mistakes, you are not growing. At this point, I am switching to a high grit sanding drum with my Dremel stylo to carve the outer edges of the cheek and the front part of the helmet where the apex lies. And I make a big mistake here by carving the inside. I meant to carve the outside. I'm supposed to be carving out this way. I have no idea what I was thinking by curving this in. Start at the seam right here and carve out and make sure the cheeks are kind of carving back because I want everything kind of protruding inward, starting at the middle right here. Start by carving the cheeks downward at an angle. After this, we're going to move to the top of the helmet where the middle of the apex is and do the same thing and carve the outer edges downward. I'm also going to remove more background stock to counter-react the amount of wood I'm removing on the main design. Let's add a shallow cut underneath the eye area just to make some more dimension and depth. After a light sanding with some sandpaper, I'm switching back to the inverted cone burr to add the detail back to my image that the sandpaper took away. Here's a trick to make background areas smooth. Turn the inverted cone burr over on its head and just lightly go around and carve away all the jagged edges. Now I'm going to go around the whole design again and add the fine detail to all the areas that I have missed. Let's carve the hair now. The way we do this is by turning the inverted cone burr on its side and making short, random strokes all over the design. And over time here, you can see with the time lapse, it's beginning to look more and more like hair. I am making some cuts deeper at the top of the hair just to add another dimension of depth and detail. Go to the outer edges of the design with the inverted cone burr and undercut the whole outside edge of the design and smooth everything out. This is a flat head burr from Duragrit. I'm going to use this in the end of my Fordham handpiece to carve the outside edges of the design to smooth everything out. I'm doing this around the entire design and just smoothing out any edges that my sandpaper did not remove correctly. I'm also contouring the sides of the helmet at an angle. That way I can go back over it with some sandpaper here. You want to sand the entire design really well, inside and out. These are Riffler files. I'm going to use this one right here to get the fine detail where the slash in the eye is. At this point, I'm just adding some random cuts on the helmet to make it look battle worn. Let's switch to a bristle disc now. And yes, this one is on its last leg. We're going to use this to remove all the little fuzzies and the small bits of wood inside the hair and around the design. What you don't see is all the wood dust flying from inside of the hair texturing. I finish almost every single carving with this bit. Okay, this is after sanding, cleaning up, and everything else. This turned out fantastic. Notice how the cheekbones right here, which I know this is a helmet, but I added this underneath there just for detail. And as I said before, you see how we sanded that down and carved it down at an angle. And this just gives everything a 3D type of look. Should we stain this? Yes, we should. So that's what we are about to do. So the first thing that we are going to do is coat this with pre-stain, because it will keep everything from looking splotchy. And basswood, it tends to be splotchy a lot of times. I may have got a little too much on this brush, but it's all right. All right, I'm going to let this set for about 10 minutes. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. We're gonna take a lint-free cloth and wipe this clean. For the bottom layer, I am going to be using this Jacobine stain. This brush is a little thick to be putting on stain, but it's all right. It's really the only thing I had. Usually this would be stained one solid color, but I really wanted some depth, so I'm doing a duotone. I'm using a small brush to get in between parts of the helmet here. Okay, now we are going to use some red oak. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this off because I don't want this too dark. All right, here we go. You know, normally I wouldn't like my carving this splotchy because this stain did not take too well and I used some poor technique on it when I stained it. But you know what? It's all right because it adds to the rustic look of it. So the next thing we are going to do is put some urethane on it, but that will be tomorrow because I am tired and this needs to dry completely. I will see you then. Now it's time to add some urethane. I am using a clear semi-gloss for this, and we're just going to dip our brush in there and just wipe it all over the carving. Now be careful not to let this build up in just one area. Make sure you get a good even spread. If you guys are enjoying this, be sure to hit the thumbs up below. It would mean a lot to me. After this coat dries, I am going to apply 2 more coats to this, which I did not show on camera because this is self-explanatory. I'm also sealing the ends of this with the urethane as well. All right, the moment of truth. You guys ready? There we are. There are a few things I would have done different, and as the old saying goes, practice makes perfect. If you can trace with a pencil, you can do this, I promise. There are a few skills involved, but you will learn them as you go along. And as I said, you can pick up this template bundle if you would like to follow along with this video on my website at howtowoodcarve.com. I will have all the links below. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. It's taken me about 2 full days to do this. I'm going on my 3rd day here, but we're getting it done. So do me a favor, hit the like button below, comment, subscribe. You know all the normal YouTube stuff YouTubers tell you to do. And if you can, share this in a group page. Share this with a friend that you think will enjoy this. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you later.